Welcome to the Grow Rural Southwest Queensland information session. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge our country. Today we stand in footsteps millennia old. May we acknowledge the traditional owners whose cultures and customs have nurtured and continue to nurture this land since men and women awoke from the great dream. We honour the presence of these ancestors who reside in the imagination of this land and whose irrepressible spirituality flows through all creation. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands in which you study, work and live, and all First Nations peoples participating in this information session tonight. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and celebrate the diversity of First Nations peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of Australia. So thank you everyone for making the time to be part of tonight's information session. My name is Meredith. I'm the team leader for the Future Workforce team. And I have with me Evelyn. Evelyn is our Future Workforce coordinator, and she looks after the Grow Rural Southwest Queensland program. So we just want to start off by just giving you a little bit of an overview of where does Health Workforce Queensland fit into the big picture. We're a rural workforce agency, and if you could just jump to the next slide, please, that would. We're a not-for-profit rural workforce agency. So there are rural workforce agencies across Australia in all states and territories. We all have very different names. So I think the only one the name that you need to remember for right now is Health Workforce Queensland. As I said, we're not for profit, but we are funded by the federal government specifically to promote health professionals to work out in rural and remote communities. The Future Workforce team that Ev and I are part of works specifically with health students, and we work with university health students from across throughout Queensland. And we, as a team, we work together to deliver specific rural programs and activities that for you to engage in. So I just want to provide, before we go into the Southwest application information, just a little bit of an overview of what Grow Rural is as a program. And we like to think that Grow Rural provides pathways to where you belong. And by that, we mean in rural communities. So Grow Rural initially started off as a rural immersion program, and it has just recently transitioned to being a multidisciplinary end-to-end health workforce program, which for university health students. So to unpack that a bit, that just means that we're looking to work with you from your as a first year student right through to when you are a new grad. And this program is especially designed so that you come together with a group of students. There'll be 20 students selected for this upcoming cohort in Southwest Queensland. And we essentially recreate what a team looks like working in a rural location. So the 20 students that are selected to be part of this program represent all disciplines: medical, nursing, midwifery, speech pathology, occupational therapists, nutrition, dietetics, a very broad range of disciplines. And the reason we want to do that, and the reason why it's important, is because when you work out in rural locations, you are very dependent upon understanding and knowing what other disciplines are involved in the patient journey. It's also about, I guess, a kind of a sense of respecting that everybody plays an equal and an important part in that patient's journey. And that's a very important part of the GROW program, that you come together as a team. So we place a lot of emphasis on collaborative learning. So the 5 main elements of the GROW program there are 3 annual events, so they take place in your first, second, and third years. And those annual events take place in nominated communities in a specific region. So your region that you're applying for will be Southwest Queensland. We have cohorts occurring in Central Queensland. We visit Rabinda, Mara, and Theodore. We also have a cohort in North Queensland where we visit Mareeba, Atherton, Herberton, and Ravenshoe. So the communities that we have nominated for Southwest are Roma, St George, and Charleville. And those communities will be the communities that you will visit on those annual events. So that's the first main element, is the Grow Rural weekends. We also, as part of creating that structured pathway that I referred to in the beginning, that structured pathway into job placement once you graduate, that is supported by us encouraging and working with you and the universities so that your clinical placements can take place in Grow Rural communities or the surrounding region. So that's another pillar of the GROW program. We also provide longitudinal support for you as a participating student. And by that, I mean post your graduation, throughout your academic years, we as a team, Future Workforce, will be supporting you. Also, we have our Health Workforce Solutions team, which is essentially our recruitment team, and they join you on your GROW journey, and they're with you from year 1 right through to job placement. So that's what we mean by the longitudinal support. The longitudinal support is also provided by the community, the health professionals, and the health services within the GROW communities. So another important element of the GROW program is the job placement. And then once you have a placement, to provide you with initial support to ensure that all your needs are being met within that role. So I think if we could go to the next picture, this is a picture of the Southwest students that finished last year. They came, as I said, they did the rural immersion version of GROW. There were 20 students, we started off with 23 students. And so here they are at the end of their 3 years, celebrating the fact that they made it through. One of the students that you can see on the far left, Anna, is with us tonight. So I'm going to call on Anna to just speak to you about her experiences as a GROW student. And if we could call on you, please, just if you could introduce yourself and then just give the students a bit of an overview of your journey as a GROW Rural student.
Yep, sure thing. Sorry, I can't show my face as I'm driving, but I will just talk. So my experiences as a GROW student were quite diverse, I suppose. We went to a lot of different towns over the 3-year program. However, obviously due to COVID, one of the years we missed out. But even on the 2 excursions that we did attend, it was quite an interesting and different experience, something that I hadn't experienced previously. As someone who did grow up sort of on a property and had family all the way out to Morven out west, travelling out west was sort of a large part of my childhood. However, actually experiencing it through the GROW Rural program was really different. The biggest reason why is because we got to attend healthcare facilities that one, I didn't realise most of them were out there, so that was really interesting as well. And two, they're the type of facilities that we just don't see here in metro cities. So as someone who did grow up out in a property, I lived in Brisbane around the time that I was doing the program, so I hadn't been out west for quite some time. But during this program, I not only got to meet some really amazing people, learn a lot of really interesting stuff about how healthcare is delivered in those communities, but I also got to attend some healthcare facilities that were delivering healthcare in ways that we just don't see in metro cities. So it was a really interesting experience and something that I will cherish forever and take with me into my work placements.
And Anna, what was your experience of being able to learn and work with other students from different disciplines?
I found it really interesting, actually. It was something that I really enjoyed. And as I said this to the group last night, when we are at university, we are taught about interprofessional collaboration. Pretty much every semester, you have to do an assignment or a group task that requires interprofessional collaboration. And when you're at university, those things can be semi-easy. There's always those difficulties around it. However, out in the workforce, as I'm sure a lot of you have heard, sometimes that interprofessional collaboration, especially in city environments, is very broken down, and it's really quite upsetting, because when you go on practical placements in the city, you find that you just don't collaborate interprofessionally as much as you thought that you would. So going out west and being able to be in this program and be around other students that were from different professions and studying different professions was just so eye-opening, because every time we did a task as a group where it required all of us to collaborate interprofessionally, we weren't just writing an assignment, we weren't just creating a PowerPoint, we were actually given scenarios and put in a place where we had to think for ourselves, where we didn't have Google beside us, and where we had to work as a team and use each other's knowledge and prior education from each of our disciplines to actually be able to provide care to a patient in a case study. And it was always really enlightening, because you would learn things from each other, and then you would go back to university and you would apply that to your own practical or to your own assignments. And very more often than not, I had other students that weren't in the program, or even lecturers that didn't know about the program, that would ask me where I learnt that from, or how did I know to look into that. And it's like, oh, I actually learnt that on my GROW program. And more often than not, it's a conversation starter at university, because you've actually experienced interprofessional collaboration at a really extreme level, because we just don't collaborate that effectively in cities, as sad as it is. So being able to do that in the GROW program really opened up my eyes, and also gave me the ability to collaborate more effectively and have a better understanding of what each profession actually did, opposed to just thinking that a speech pathologist provides XYZ. All of a sudden you're learning that they're actually providing more services than you actually thought were possible. So it really gives you a great basis for when you do go out into the workforce, as to where to put the sort of that caseload. When you get a case study, you know exactly where this patient needs to go or who they need to talk to, which is not something you always learn when you're at university. So I think Grow Rural really gave a really great background knowledge into how interprofessional collaboration should work, and how you can utilise it in your placements.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. That's fantastic. So I'm just going to take the students through a couple of the important points that in regards to the Southwest application. So the first year event date, so the 13th of October through to the 15th of October. So we meet on the Friday morning. We stay together as a group. Evelyn and myself and other health workforce representatives and team members will be there. And we travel on a bus, and we will travel to the selected communities and participate in clinical skill sessions, community-led events. There's cultural awareness activities are a really important part of GROW. We also spend a lot of time with community. So that's what will happen in the first year event. Then, as I said, there's also a second year event and a third year event, and that's just repeating the same program, but with more advanced clinical sessions, reconnecting with those communities and with the health professionals that work in those communities, because those health professionals and those practices are active participants in the GROW program. So they're facilitators in the clinical skills sessions. They also offer you their homes as billets, and so they're very actively part of the program. So the next important piece of information is the application round opens on Thursday, the 1st of June. So you've got 3 weeks to complete your application. It's not particularly long, but it does have 6 short answer written, obviously, questions that are important. And then students that make it through that round will be shortlisted for online interviews, and we conduct those interviews along with health workforce representatives, plus wherever possible, a health professional from the Southwest communities that you'll be visiting. So for a nursing student, we'll have a nurse come on board to be part of your interview panel and throughout all the various disciplines. And then in July 19, you'll be notified of whether you were successful or unsuccessful. As I said earlier, there's 20 spots available. So it's a fairly competitive program. We would be expecting to get over 100 applications for those 20 spots. So here we are on the bus. This is taken last year with the GROW students. And before we just run through the eligibility criteria, I want to introduce you to another GROW student, Cam. And Cam, if you could come online and just share with the students what your experience of GROW was, and also maybe to describe how you found the scenario, working with health professionals, but also how it was to spend some time with community. Thank you, Cam.
I'm just
No?
trying to have a look. Maybe Cam hasn't made
Okay.
it in.
Maybe Anna, can we just jump back to you if you don't mind? And
Yeah, that's
I think it would be great for the students to hear a bit about how it was when you were billeted and what it meant to spend some time with community.
sure thing. So billeting for me, I had never experienced that before. So I must admit I was really nervous to obviously share a space with another family that I'd never met before for a couple of days. But for me, it was fantastic, actually. I really, really enjoyed it. Not only have I been given the opportunity to sort of make lifelong connections with that family, I've also been able to sort of learn from them because I was staying with the mayor and his wife out at Charleville. He was able to give me some really good ideas on how he perceives the future of healthcare to look over the next couple of years, which gave me a really good backing for being able to understand where I'd like to be and where I'd sort of want to fit in when it comes time to do my grad position. So for me, being able to billet was not only the ability to make those community connections, sort of experience the community from a different light, opposed to just being there with the program, actually being able to go out and about with a billet family and seeing how sort of their day-to-day goes, but also being able to learn off of them how healthcare is delivered in their community, how they expect it to look in the future, and also understanding what their needs are as a community from us as healthcare students.
And I think one of the most amazing things about community, not in really every single community that we visit, is how generous they are with their time, and they're so enthusiastic about welcoming you as students into their homes and into their communities. They want to spend as much time with you as possible, and they understand the value of what you're doing as a student, and they want to support you in your journey. So, and I think ultimately what you'll come away with if if you gain a spot on the program is a sense of community. If you don't have a rural background, your sense of community is very constrained by how we live in cities. Going into a rural community, it's just a completely different experience into how supportive and helpful people are of one another, because they don't have anybody else. They only have one another. And I think you can't really explain what that looks like or feels like. You have to actually experience it for yourself. Would you agree with that, Anna?
Oh, for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. The community experience out there is nothing like in the city. Everyone waves, everyone says hello. Get used to having people walk up to you and talk to you like they've known you for years. That is very much how it is. And if you
Mm.
reciprocate that, there's so much there's such an avenue out there that you can discover as well. Like when we were at the Indigenous healthcare facility in Charleville, just by having a chat to one of the Indigenous men that was there, all of a sudden I was taken up to his office. He was showing me these books, and then he's like, if you want, I can email them to you. And so next thing I know, I've gotten all these emails with digital copies of Indigenous healthcare books. So how to provide healthcare to the Indigenous people, and making sure it's culturally appropriate. So that's proof right there that if you meet someone for 5-10 minutes and you reciprocate that community to them, then they're so much more willing to sort of support you, give you the guidance that you need. Like it's very different out there compared to the city.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll just go through a few of the eligibility requirements. So we do require that you be 18 years of age by the time of the first event, which is Friday the 13th of October. So if your birthday's on that day, you're in. Your 18th birthday. And this program is open to first year full-time students only. It's open to medical, nursing, midwifery, dentistry, and allied health students. We only accept students from Queensland universities, and we only accept domestic students. The costs of being part of the program, that's travel, accommodation, and catering, are all covered by Health Workforce Queensland. If we could go, thank you. So we also have some requirements. As I said at the beginning of the session, this is an end-to-end health workforce solution program. So we ask that you, as a student participant, that you commit to advancing a rural career pathway in collaboration with us. And the various teams that will be working with you within Health Workforce Queensland, with the Grow Rural Southwest Queensland health professionals and the health service providers. We ask that you attend the 3 annual Grow Rural events that are held consecutively from 2023, 2024 and 2025. We ask that you develop a relationship with a Grow Rural clinical mentor, and we participate in a matching process. It's not something that you have to initiate yourself, but we consider that mentoring of you throughout your years on the program as being invaluable. We ask that you work towards undertaking your university clinical placements in Grow Rural communities and the region where possible, and that you participate in online webinars that we deliver and this is just helps in prepare you for job placement. And we ask that you commit to returning to the Grow Rural Southwest communities or the region to take up a new grad position where available. So I just want to make it clear, you are not mandated to return to these communities to work, but where possible, we encourage you and will support you to do that. So that's the those are the requirements. We've talked about the eligibility criteria, but now I want to open the floor up to you as students to ask questions, because I'm sure that there are a few before we sign off. Feel free to just speak or to put a question into chat. No question?
Here. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes.
But I am a first year Master of Dietetics student at the University of Queensland, and I just have a question about the eligibility of my master's program with the GROW program, because it's an 18-month program at the University of Queensland. So I'm just wondering if I would be eligible.
You would need to be enrolled for the duration. So this is more at your sort of undergrad level, Alana, as opposed to masters, because the students need to be enrolled as a student whilst they're on the program.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, we'll hand over to Ev. She's just going to show you how you can use our portal to lodge an expression of interest so that we can let you know when the applications have opened.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so our website is healthworkforce.com.au. And like Meredith said, this is how you express your interest, but it's also creating your profile, because this is the same way you'll go back in to apply when the application round opens. So to the right here, we've got portal login. So if you just click on that, and you'll need to register. So you'll need to fill in all these details and register, and then it'll send an email to your email account that you've provided in this register your new profile, and you have to verify it, and then you can come back and log in or sign in. The mine's pre-filled, so I'm just going to go through. And it'll take you inside the portal, and this is what it'll look like. And you will need to fill out all these details. Everything with an asterisk is mandatory, so you'll need to fill all those details out. There are some details that we won't need right now, but in due time we will need those details, such as your passport information, date of birth, financial details. So once we get to about here, this is where you'll need to tick this box, because this expresses your interest in the program, and this is how we know that you're interested in applying for Grow Rural Southwest Queensland. So you'll need to tick that box, continue filling out the rest of the form, and at the bottom it will give you this, and you'll just need to, I think mine says update because I've already filled it out, but yours will just say saved. Now once you've done that, you have created your profile, and it's as simple as that. Now, we will then send you an email on the morning of the applications open. You will log back in, and up here where it says start an application registration, you can't see it at the moment because because you can't apply just yet, but it will have Grow Rural Southwest Queensland. So you'll just have to click in there, and then it'll take you through to apply. And that is as simple as it is. Does anyone have any questions regarding creating your profile?
There was a question about, should I use my university email?
Oh,
which is yes.
yeah. I think
yes.
Yes. I think it makes you give us 2 different email accounts, so your personal and your university. So yes, you can.
Okay, so while we'll just take you to the Health Workforce Queensland website, and you'll see that at the top there's a heading there for health students. This is your page. So if we click on that, that will take you through to there's 6 tiles here. These are all the different programs and activities that are available to you as students, but let's just click on the Grow Rural one, because I want to encourage you to come and have a look at this particular page when you're preparing for your application, because there's quite a lot of information on this page about the program. And also, as you scroll down through the page, there's some video footage and also some links to some students' reflections and stories. So the more research that you do for your application, the better. The 6 written questions will be encouraging you to give some consideration to the reasons why you want to be part of this program and what you have to offer, but it'll also be asking you to consider what it will mean to the rural, to those rural locations, to understand the need. So I do encourage you to do as much homework as you can to prepare. And I guess the final piece of advice that I have is please write from your heart, not from a place of this is what you expect, what you think Health Workforce Queensland is expecting. Because when we get 100 applications that all read in a fairly similar way, what we're looking for is the ones that are written from the heart, because they're the ones that authentically stand out to us, and our immediate responses, we want the student on our program. So I'm going to leave you with that piece of advice, but also to wish you good luck. And if you have any questions, you will have our email address to contact us, and we're more than happy to take questions offline if there's something that we didn't cover tonight for you. Should we put the Future Workforce email in the chat for the students, or they will have it already on there? I just want to make doubly sure that you've got it, guys, in case you need it. You're on mute, Ev.
What I'll do is I'll send an email out tomorrow to everybody, providing the website link as well as our contact details.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks, everybody, for your time, and good luck and good night.
Thanks, everyone.